Seth Rollins sends a special message to Becky Lynch. Randy Orton shares his alternative career choice if he hadn't joined WWE. And AEW star MJF comments on possibly signing with WWE in the future. Hello everyone, Jose G here bringing you today's top stories in today's Sportskeeda Wrestling News Roundup. To stay up to date with all of our content, be sure to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Seth Rollins sends a special message to Becky Lynch. WWE superstar Seth Rollins penned an incredibly heartfelt message for Becky Lynch on Instagram on Mother's Day. The SmackDown superstar posted a photo featuring Lynch and her daughter, Ruth. In the caption of the photo, Rollins heaped praise on Lynch and wished her a happy Mother's Day by saying, quote, "So very lucky my daughter gets to call you mom. Happy first Mother's Day to you and to anyone out there who has ever held the title. Us non-moms are not worthy. Thank you for raising us, teaching us, and believing in us no matter what." End quote. Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch have both done well for themselves as WWE superstars. Rollins and Lynch were spotted publicly together on various occasions in early 2019 when the two were being pushed heavily on the main roster. Both Rollins and Lynch won their respective Royal Rumble matches that year and went on to win top titles at WrestleMania 35. Becky Lynch confirmed her relationship with Seth Rollins during a Twitter feud with WWE Hall of Famer Edge and Beth Phoenix in mid-2019. The happy couple got engaged in August of 2019. Lynch became pregnant and a year later took a hiatus from WWE. She handed over her Raw Women's title to Asuka on her way out, thus putting a dominant title reign to an end. WWE President Nick Khan recently stated that Becky Lynch would return to work somewhere down the line. Lynch is currently busy being a mom and is doing a great job at it. She still has a large fan base among the WWE Universe, and they would love to see her make a surprise return in the near future. Randy Orton shares his alternative career choice if he hadn't joined WWE. Randy Orton is a veteran in the pro wrestling business, having spent close to 20 years of his career with WWE. However, at a young age, the Viper did not consider wrestling as a possible profession and showed interest in other things. The former 14-time WWE champion recently appeared on the Kurt Angle Show, where he had discussed what it was like being in the locker room at a young age. Randy Orton's father, Bob Orton, worked with WWF for a while and during his time regularly brought young Randy with him. After seeing the colossal size of the men before him, Orton felt that it would be impossible for him to follow in his father's footsteps. Instead, he wanted to become a herpetologist, a person who studies reptiles, due to his fascination with snakes. By saying, quote, "I never once had the confidence in myself to think that I could do what my dad did. You know, I was in the locker room at a very young age, and I saw these huge mountains of men joking and laughing, just behemoths. And I'm back there as a little kid. That day forward, seeing all those men, I never once considered myself to be able to go toe-to-toe with them or be on their level in any way, shape, or form. My interest was in animals. At a very young age, I remember I caught a garter snake in the backyard and was fascinated by it. Even to this day, I have a fascination with reptiles, and I wanted to be a herpetologist, which is someone that is interested in the study of reptiles." End quote. It's quite interesting to note that Randy Orton ended up getting a nickname that matched his interest in reptiles and snakes. It must have been fate that he was given such a name. Chelsea Green working on numerous projects during her WWE non-compete period. Chelsea Green was one of the several wrestlers released by WWE last month due to the company's annual budget cuts. However, Green has been keeping busy since her surprise departure. On April 15th, exactly 1 year after numerous stars were released at the start of the COVID-19 pandemic, WWE showed 10 more to the door. In the women's divisions, Chelsea Green was joined by Mickie James, but more surprisingly, Peyton Royce and Billie Kay of the Iconics. Samoa Joe, Kalisto, Tucker, Wesley Blake, Mojo Rawley, and Bo Dallas were among the male wrestlers released. A few of the names have already started accepting bookings for events once their 90-day non-compete clauses are up. However, for the most part, many have remained in the background, and their next steps are unknown. That's not the same for Chelsea Green, who has numerous ventures she's exploring. Speaking to the Wrestling Perspective podcast, Green explained why she has been active since her WWE release by saying, quote, "I want to hit the ground running on July 14th. And so that's why I'm getting started now. There are so many other things behind the scenes that I'm getting going. I'm starting to train for a WBFF competition. I'm trying to make connections in the Barstool sports world. I'm trying to get on Playboy, all these things that people aren't just seeing. I'm just like, what are they doing? Maybe others are doing that. We just don't know. I feel like I've gotten most buzz in the past 2 weeks than I have in 2 years, end quote. The conversation then led to other WWE release stars potentially working on deals privately during their 90-day non-compete period. Green acknowledged that doing things slyly would lead to bigger surprises upon their reemergence. But that's not her style, saying, quote, "I don't think they do, and if they do, they're doing it slyly, and they're sliding under the radar, and it'll be a bigger surprise when they come out. That's not my goal. My goal is to keep my buzz high and keep growing," end quote. Which promotion Chelsea Green will compete for once her 90-day compete clause is done? No one knows. She could return to Impact Wrestling to reunite with her fiancé Matt Cardona and perform for AEW on a cross-promotion deal. The possibilities are endless. Pro wrestling legend on Cesaro's current rise in WWE. Cesaro's current push in WWE has the entire wrestling world talking. Impact Wrestling star and ECW legend Tommy Dreamer has gone far to say that Cesaro will eventually be the guy in WWE. On Busted Open Radio, Dreamer and WWE Hall of Famer Mark Henry spoke in depth about Cesaro's current feud with Roman Reigns on SmackDown. Dreamer heaped praise onto Cesaro, noting that if he was running WWE right now, he could make the Swiss Superman the face of the company. By saying, quote, "If I'm running the WWE because of all of the languages he speaks, I could make him the face of my company and have him do every press junket possible. But we're not touring internationally right now, but it's something always great to have in your back pocket. And it's also great because you know no matter where he is on the card, you're going to get a top-rated, top-notch real wrestling match. He will be the guy, and I'll tell you why. Because you know, we're wrestling fans, and it's like, how come they haven't given this guy the ball forever?" He had a lot of positive talk when Vince McMahon had said on one of the shareholder meetings that he doesn't feel that Cesaro connects with the people, maybe because of the way he speaks, but that was like the first. Are you kidding me? This guy has it. And I feel he will get that Daniel Bryan reaction if he ever decides to fully pull the trigger with him, just because fans love him. But if you think about why they love him because of his in-ring work, end quote. Dreamer was likely referring to Vince McMahon's interview on the Stone Cold podcast when he mentioned the shareholders meeting regarding Cesaro connecting to the people. Still, to the point he made remains the same regardless of where Mr. McMahon said it. Mark Henry had no shortage of praise for Cesaro either, calling him the most evenly keeled guy in professional wrestling. Coming from a WWE Hall of Famer, that's quite the compliment. By saying, quote, "Cesaro is the most evenly keeled guy that I know in pro wrestling. I mean, he just wants to be great. He wanted opportunity. He stayed ready, so you don't have to get ready. And it was very cool that at WrestleMania to see him get his moment and for them to continue to go forward with him in this role. He looks great. He's going to bring in new viewers. People want to see what he's going to do next. What is he capable if we don't even know?" End quote. AEW star MJF comments possibly signing with WWE in the future. MJF recently spoke about his contract with AEW. He said that despite previously saying AEW runs deep in him, he was open of doing business with WWE in the future. It would depend on who was the highest bidder for his services. MJF is one of the fastest rising stars in professional wrestling today. He has repeatedly proven that he is one of the best heels in the business since signing with AEW. In a recent interview with Steel Chair magazine, MJF was asked about where he saw himself in 3 or 4 years. MJF, refusing to break character, said, quote, "I'd say I'd be near the end of my contract. I would be the AEW World Champion. I would still be a part of the greatest faction in professional wrestling known as the Pinnacle. All of my brothers in arms would also have gold, and then at that point, the highest bidder, baby. Me and my boys were willing to go wherever the money's at. It's that simple. Don't get me wrong, AEW runs deep in me. I don't want to leave, but I am a businessman at the end of the day, and I can't help myself. If somebody's got an offer for me, I'm going to listen to it." End quote. MJF and the rest of the Pinnacle faced off against the members of the Inner Circle at Blood and Guts last Wednesday on AEW Dynamite. The match more than lived up to its grisly title. Both teams went through hell, and the finish saw MJF and Chris Jericho on top of the steel structure. MJF threatened to throw Chris Jericho off, prompting Sammy Guevara to surrender on behalf of his team to try and save Jericho. Unsurprisingly for some, MJF stayed true to his dastardly nature and ended up tossing Jericho off the roof of the structure anyway. Thanks for watching today's Sportskeeda Wrestling News Roundup. For more news stories and exclusive content, be sure to follow us on all social media. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. Download the Sportskeeda app for the most up-to-date stories in the world of wrestling.